Hi, I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, and today you'll notice by the title this is going to be a very different video from my normal videos. Usually I am reviewing a new product that has come into my collection, but this past week instead of buying new makeup I decided to do a declutter. And I thought it might be fun to show you the items that I decluttered from my makeup collection and show you what's left. This is a long overdue declutter. It has been a while since I've done a declutter, but I finally did it. I'm clearly, admittedly, a hoarder. I have a problem, but I decided, actually what kind of prompted it was that, my makeup collection's been kind of overflowing and things have been very disorganized, and especially my makeup brushes were starting to encroach in areas that I was like, I need a proper makeup brush holders for some of my makeup brushes. And I had this whole row of ABH palettes that I was like, if I move this out of the way, I can put a proper makeup brush holder, put the brushes in this proper place, because I literally have these palettes that are literally collecting dust, not even like figuratively. I actually, before I came on camera, wiped them down because I had some palettes that, were that old. I don't touch them, and I'm literally leaving. I've kept them just more for nostalgia reasons, and I'm not actually using them. But then that led to me just going beyond, a half dozen palettes to then just started going through my whole makeup collection, decluttering, and it was such a cathartic experience because not only did I declutter, but I also reorganized my makeup. So after I show you the palettes I decluttered, I did do a video showing you the aftermath. Now I did not videotape the process of me actually going through the declutter, but I did a quick video on my phone showing you what I left in all the drawers. So I'll show you all my makeup drawers. Giving you a heads up, I'm not gonna go, I show you all the drawers so you get a sense of what's in my makeup. I don't open up every eyeshadow palette. I don't do swatches of everything. So if there's any drawers that you're like, I would love a dedicated video like that drawer of her blushes or highlighters, let me know, and then I could go back and do a video specifically about that. Now there's certain topics like lipstick I wouldn't bother to do just because I have so many videos already about my lipstick collection. I just broke them up into Gucci lipstick, Lisa Eldridge lipstick, Chanel lipstick, that kind of thing. But things like blushes, highlighters, eyeshadow palettes, I would go by brand. So tell me what brand, because I own that many eyeshadow palettes. So consider that. And even what I left behind, admittedly, there's a lot of products there that I still know I should declutter. I'm leaving them there because like I said, one, I'm a hoarder, and I have a problem with nostalgia. And if something's not bad, it's hard for me to let go. But also, everything fits perfectly. But later on, as I get new products and I need room, I'll eventually declutter more. So I needed to do baby steps. This is my first major declutter in a while. So if I do another declutter, later in the year, maybe I'll come back and update you. But let's just get started and talk about what I got rid of, because some of the things I got rid of are some really iconic makeup products. So if you're a makeup lover like me, if you've been a makeup lover for the past 10, 20 years, then these are going to be products that you will be quite familiar with. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with ABH. So I decluttered 4 palettes. Now I actually have 2 more, and I ended up keeping them. I couldn't help it. You'll see in the later video which 2 I kept. So I'll show you the 4 that I'm gonna let go. The Norvina palette. This, I love purples, as you know. So, at the time I was excited to have this palette. And it was a nice palette, but like I said, haven't touched it in years. The Rivera palette. Now this was a very colorful palette. So it's a fun palette, but at the same time it's so bright and colorful. It just wasn't a palette that I gravitated to. remember Subculture? Everybody hated it on this palette, I remember. Funny enough, this particular palette I had bought at TJ Maxx later on. I actually didn't have a problem with this palette. I actually enjoyed it, and I love these kind of fall kind of colors. I didn't have a problem, you know, and I don't know if I had a different batch or whatever. I didn't have I don't feel like I had the problems to the extent that people were talking about, but nevertheless, haven't used this in years. This one's gonna really hurt me to let go because it's Jackie Ina's palette, and it was a big, you know, gorgeous packaging. It was one that hurt because, you know, one, we love Jackie, and she made these in mind for deeper skin tone that every shade would work, because so many times we get a palette and there's always shades that don't work for us, and she created one that everything worked. So this kind of hurts, but I don't touch it, and I gotta let it go. I need space for all the new makeup that I got. So, you know, you'll have to guess, what two do you think are iconic ABH palettes that I couldn't help myself to let go? You'll have to watch my my makeup collection video at the end of this to find out. But let's keep going with what did I declutter. So I'm gonna keep going with a couple more palettes in the kind of long form palette. Dose of Colors. What a fun packaging. This was a great packaging. And this was nice quality, these beautiful color scheme. But yeah, I haven't used this in a while. How about this one? This is an iconic one. This kind of hurts to let go. Urban Decay. I have to say, so, you know, in my 20s and early 30s, I was mainly just drugstore makeup, especially eyeshadow. And the first real, like, the first, you know, mid-range products that I had were from Urban Decay. And that's when it got me to go, oh, there is a difference between, you know, a higher price makeup and drugstore. As much as I love drugstore, and yes, you can make similar looks, there is a quality difference. And this was one of the palettes that made me go, oh, because I'll show you later, I have some drugstore palettes that had the same color scheme, and although I could make the same look, I could definitely tell the difference in quality. This was a great palette, especially for travel. This was definitely made for travel. This is hard for me to let go. This is gonna be hard, honestly, guys. Like, I'm looking at these and I'm scared I'm gonna like end up not throwing them out. But this was a great palette, but I don't use it anymore. So yeah, I have to say Urban Decay and ABH were the two brands that made me go, oh. And after that, once I got ABH and Urban Decay, I never really went back to, I mean, I didn't completely cut off drugstore makeup completely because I was still big into ColourPop, but outside of that, like, I did not do drugstore again. And then once we got to luxury, it was kind of like a done deal. I don't know if you've heard of this brand. It's called Violet Voss. It's the only thing I've ever bought from this brand. But I thought it was cool to have this cool tone storyline. You know, I made a couple of cute looks with it, but then never again. I feel like, you know what, I have a Natasha Denona palette that has similar colors, and I prefer Natasha Denona's quality, so I don't use this palette. Now, I was kind of referencing that I had some drugstore palettes that were similar to that Urban Decay, similar color story, but I recognize difference in quality. So, I don't know if you guys remember this one, if you were into drugstore back in the day, Maybelline. So this was one palette that I had enjoyed for a little bit, haven't touched in forever. I literally just kept this for nostalgia, just because I had just good memories, because that's when I was just starting to get into eyeshadow palettes, you know, like, you know, bigger size palette, relatively bigger size palettes. Continuing with drugstore pricing, although I had to buy online, was ColourPop. I've held on to this one because, number one, this was like one of my first eyeshadow major eyeshadow palettes, but this was a collab with Shayla, Makeup Shayla, and she was somebody who I always, so back in the day, it was always Jackie Aina and Makeup Shayla, so when she had this, made this palette with ColourPop, I, you know, love to support her, but also I actually truly love this palette. I use this a lot. So this is very similar to that Urban Decay. So this was kind of like a go-to for a while, and then once I found the Urban Decay one, this kind of went to the wayside, and then eventually Urban Decay also went to the wayside. Continuing ColourPop, I've gotten rid of, even prior to this, you know, my last time I decluttered, ColourPop was the major brand that I let go. It was a big brand. But one ColourPop palette that I had kept was this one called Sweet Talk. And it was simply just because I didn't have too many peach tone palettes, so I kept this. It's one that I had enjoyed, but I haven't been using this for a while, and now I have some other brands that I feel like it's time to let it go. One other peach tone, and it is from Juvia's Place, so we're going to move on to Juvia's Place. And I kept this as well because I didn't have too many palettes that were peach tone, and this was a great palette at that time, but haven't used it in forever. Another fave color, Juvia Place palette was the Tribe palette. This was a fantastic palette, fun colors. I enjoyed it during that time period, but once again, haven't touched it in forever. And the last Juvia Place was the Warriors 2. I loved the packaging. And then, oh, I have to be careful with this. I have to be very careful because another reason I have to declutter is because I'm being very, I don't know if I can really show this because the black broke. I'm going to hold it sideways like this. So it had just some great basic colors. The black has exploded. Even trying to clean this off was tough because Juvia's Place is pigmented, and to have a pigmented black, it was a big mess that I had to clean up. Trust. So this definitely has to go, besides me not using it, but now with the black completely gotta go. So yeah, you know, ColourPop, Juvia's. I had other palettes back in the day from them, and I had already decluttered. So these are the last ones that I held on to. And now I think I'm officially no longer have any Urban Decay, any ColourPop, any Juvia. So these brands, I think these were the last ones I was just holding on to, and it's kind of more for nostalgia, but it's just time to go. Now just a few more eyeshadow palettes. Now these ones are gonna be more indie brands, more smaller known brands. So I don't expect you to necessarily be familiar with all these, but maybe you are, so let me know. This one is gonna be the least known. I don't really buy from Shein. But I had bought this one because they had one like for every horoscope, and I'm a Scorpio. And this was like a Scorpio one, and I do love these types of colors. It was pigmented. You know, it was fun, the couple looks that I did with it, but obviously not the best quality, and I have other brands that I prefer. I have two Notoriously Morbid. So these are indie brand, you know, like very bold colors, very pigmented, but I realize now I don't like their formula. So I haven't bought since, and I haven't used these, and it's just time to go. I'm usually not that harsh with brands because pretty much everything you're gonna see is everything that I truly love, but I actually don't really like, sorry to say, but I don't really like their formula. Another indie brand, this was a collab with Shroud Cosmetics with Beauty Bean. This is a fun color story, you know, purples and green. It was very, you know, Halloween. It was fun. I, you know, had some fun with these, but don't really reach for them. You know, I just find that, like, I used to do a lot of bold and colorful looks, and I realize now I've been doing more simple, more neutral with a pop of color kind of look. So these kind of bold palettes, you know, rainbow palettes and things like that, I'm not really as into. And the last is also, what's it called? BH Cosmetics. Are they still around? It's another small indie brand. This was Blueberry Muffin. You know, I love blues and purples. And then Avocado. Not only do I like a real avocado, but I love greens and browns. So these are two color stories that I love, but once again, you know, I've just kind of moved on from doing drugstore kind of palettes, and just, you know, I just wanted to kind of keep my collection just focused to the more luxury brands that I truly love. So that's, I think, it for eyeshadows. Let's see, I have a whole bag full of other kinds of makeup, so we're gonna start going into other categories of makeup. I found a couple more eyeshadow palettes. These are smaller ones. These two from Dose of Colors. At the time, I loved them. They were fun color stories. They were pigmented, but I just don't use them. Fenty, I will tell you, I love Fenty as a brand. I do not like her eyeshadow formula. I'm actually amazed I even still have this one. I think I think this was gifted to me, and I just held on to it. I think I used it once, maybe twice. Out of all the ones I had, this was the best out of those. But just in general, I do not like Rihanna's eyeshadow. I love her in so many categories, but eyeshadow is not it. I don't really do e.l.f., but I have this one eyeshadow palette. I would say, you know, I love blue, so I picked this for it, and it was like super cheap. It was like $1 or something. I just remember it was super cheap, you know. It's kind of, it is what it is. I used it once or twice, and then that was it. Now just to quickly go to some single shadows. This is Danessa Myricks. Now this was one of her like liquid kind of shadows. This was in a special shade called Pride. So I don't know if it was just limited edition for Pride Month or whatever. But it's one of her Infinite Chrome Flakes. I enjoyed it. I had created amazing looks that like everybody was like, whoa. Like it was an amazing look. And I did it once, but I didn't really do it often. But I have to let it go because I don't know if you can see, but it is totally dried out. Like it's supposed to be liquid and it is dry. So even if I wanted to keep it, I can't. It literally, it's gotta go. Surratt, this was like an interesting one where it had a potted part here and then a powder formula here. This is like dried out at this point. Like it's like dried out, but this would be the base and then you would put this at the top. This part still works, but this one's completely dried out, but I just don't use it. So, you know, it's just time to go. It's just time to go. Tom Ford, little, I mean, I love the packaging. Like how cute is this? Luxe all the way. But this is starting to dry out. It's just not as amazing as it used to be, and I just don't use them. A couple Dose of Color single shadows. I'm actually not going to open it because one of them I know is exploded, and then the other one is like dead. I kept a couple anyway because a couple other ones because they were functionally, they're fine, but honestly, I know I should declutter them because I never reach for them. We're officially done with eyeshadows, so next is blushes. Oh no, let's do highlighters. It was definitely time to get rid of a lot. I have so many highlighters, and I don't use highlighters as much, and the type of highlighters I'm into, some of these are no longer my style. So let's go with some of the more like fun ones. This one's not super old. This is Odin's Eye. It's an indie brand. Obviously, the packaging is so cool. The embossing is so cool. You know, like in theory, it's a fun just color, but obviously as a highlighter, and it's not just so much about it being icy or any of that. It's actually very glittery, and so this is no longer my kind of, it's not my style of highlighter. You could see in how it just kind of separates. If anything, it would be better on the eyes, but I don't need a whole thing of that. So it's so cute packaging, but it's time to let go. Back in the day, I used to love to do a lot of fun colors. This is from Becca. I know Becca's no longer around. And this is a gold green. So it has a green undertone to it. Okay, yeah, hopefully you could see that. But like, it has a green tone to it. So I used to be, yeah. I used to like to do blues, greens, purple highlighters. I know it sounds crazy, but it's time to go because I don't use this. I'm now back to just kind of basic colors. I will, like, you know, if there's a little bit of purple to it, but it's a whole other thing to be really green, green, blue, blue, that kind of a thing. And I'm not into it being so glittery more. So talking about glitter, I'm going to let this Fenty go. I know you might think like, oh, this color. Remember, it was diamond. It was a diamond bomb, and the shade was How Many Carats. And I know it's kind of even thought like maybe this would be for fair skin. It had a cool formula. It was very kind of sheer. It actually didn't look. I didn't think it looked bad on me, but it's a very glittery formula. I'm no longer into being. You remember like the 2010s. It was big to be blinding highlighters, glittery highlighters. But that time has come. Admittedly, there's some other Fenty highlighters that I definitely should discard. I don't use them anymore, but I'm still keeping it for nostalgia for the moment. More current, Danessa Myricks, her Bomb Wet. This is not like, you know, she always have fun and unique colors. You know, this is not crazy colors. If anything, super, so the opposite. So I've been showing you things that are so unnatural. This one is super natural. But I don't use it as much because number one, it's so natural. It's almost like you're not wearing it. And I get it's the whole glow from within. But also I'm not as big into wet highlighters. I'm not saying it's super tacky, but like you see how it just disappeared. So, you know, like I don't want the blinding glittery highlighter anymore. But I also, if I'm going to do a highlighter, I'd like to see it. Do you remember Artist Couture? These were good highlighters. I'm scared to open one of them. I forget which one, but one of them is completely busted open. So I don't want to open them, but they were like gold tone. So the shades were great. These weren't crazy shades. They were good formulas. They were blinding. They were great for the time, but I don't use them anymore. Like I said, now I'm not so much into as blinding of a highlighter, and you know, I just have other highlighters I like. I love Pat McGrath highlighters, but this one, and I'm not going to open this either because this is another one that is busted open. It's her like deepest shade, the one that she came in the deepest shade. I'm not going to open this, but it's called Bronze Mirage. Completely busted open. So number one, can't really use it because it's just like busted open. It's a huge mess. It makes a huge mess. And two, actually, because it was so deep, it technically worked for me, but I don't like my highlighter so deep golden. I do kind of like when, you know, a lot of times I tend to like more rose gold or golden versus like a deep bronze on me. You know, so for those two reasons, it's time for blushes. Okay. I mean, clearly this one, I panned it. I don't know. I hit pan, so I should let it go. MAC. So yeah, if we go back to my 20s, I was all about MAC, but I don't really use MAC anymore. But do you remember if you are anybody of my skin tone, Sweet as Cocoa, you probably still use it. I don't know, but you can see it was well loved. I hit pan. You know, at that time, you know, I wasn't gonna let it go because I would use every inch of the rim. But then eventually I just stopped using it. So it's used up. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful natural blush. But I have newer blushes and I hit pan. Time to go. Let's see, Natasha Denona. This is the Bloom Highlighting Blush. So this, you know, can be kind of highlighter, blush, depending on your skin tone and preference. You know, it's a fun color. I don't know, you know, and also this is probably just, it's old, so it's dead, but you know, the time has come. I don't use it. I really don't. Patrick Ta. It's I think the only product I've ever bought from Patrick Ta. So, you know, when she first got in, this was the one, Oh, She's Different. And at the time I enjoyed it. Beautiful shade for my skin tone. You know, this is when we also were really big into cream shadow, blushes, and it's cool to have a cream and a powder. Honestly, I feel like the cream is probably like getting moldy, and I don't care enough. I don't care for the powder that much to let it go. It's time to go. This is just kind of literally old and moldy. An old NARS. It just, hopefully the light is not washing out, but this is the shade Desire. It's a fun pink color, but it's, you know, electric pink, and I just not into that shade anymore. This one was gifted to me, so I did not buy it. It's from an indie brand called Ulak. This didn't work on me. Like I tried it, I posted on Instagram like a year or two ago whenever I got it, just to display it. But like, this does not work on me. Clearly this is for fair skin tones, so there's no point in me just holding on to it. I have now I love Pat McGrath blushes. You will see I have a huge collection. I almost feel sad to let it go, but it's one of the lightest ones that I have. I tried it the other day, and it actually didn't look bad, but it is very light. Like, this is the lightest I can go on my skin tone. It wasn't bad, but it's definitely much lighter than, you know, her other blushes are so much more pigmented on me. But I think it's time to go. You know, I have a lot of brushes, so I think it's time to let go. Actually, one more highlighter. I haven't used this in years. Like, I just found it. I'm like, oh my God. It's like a Marc Jacobs liquid highlighter. Years. I haven't used it. It's been in a bottle. I'm like, why is this here? Gotta go. All right. Lipsticks. All right. Not too many, but they're just kind of old lip gloss. And everything I'm telling you, I have not used them. They were just like in a drawer, just not being used. So don't think I'm like putting old moldy or old lipsticks on. I just literally weren't using them. So I used to love these Marc Jacobs lip glosses at the time. Work It and Shine, especially, it was really this one. Like, this was my real favorite. Oh wait, in this one I had another one. I had, you know, even besides, I had several shades, but it's long overdue, time to go. This liquid lipstick, which is a beautiful red, who is this from? Is this Dior? Actually, I think it's a Dior Rouge Dior liquid lipstick. Beautiful. This used to be like my go-to holiday lipstick at one point, but haven't used it in forever. I told you a brand called Ulak had gifted. I had won a giveaway, and so that's what it was. It wasn't even so much a gifted. I won a giveaway. And a lot of the products that were sent to me were not for my skin tone. So this was a lipstick. I mean, I can make it work, but it's that frosty gold kind of color, and yeah, no. You know, maybe if this was 2000, but not in 2025. This I was gifted by Lady Blood Glow. It's not horrible, but this shade of pink is just not my favorite kind of pink on my skin tone. And then I had this whole box of NARS. NARS, this palette, I had actually bought this like at TJ years ago. And for a while, I would just kind of go through them all. These are such beautiful shades for my skin tone. So you could get more pinky, more nudie, more peachy, more brown. It was just great, and I would flip through them. You know, I haven't used them in years. The box was just sitting, I kind of almost was just keeping it for the box. I don't know, I was just sitting there, nostalgia, I guess, but it's time to go. So that's it of all the products that I decluttered. I know, it's a lot. I'm thinking, I don't know, like I plan to just do one long video of my declutter and my collection, but I think it might be best, just because this was long, to split into 2 videos. So I think we're gonna end here. So I hope you enjoyed this declutter. Hopefully it was like great reminiscing about old products, you know, and comment down below, like if there's any product that I showed that I'm decluttered, if they were favorite products of yours, did it bring back any memories for you? And then what we'll do in my next video, I'm going to show you my makeup collection, and I will show you what was left behind. What did I keep? All right. But I hope this was fun. You know, it's just something different than doing a review. But yeah, hope to see you in the next video, or, you know, the second parts of this video and future videos. If you aren't already subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. And all I have to say is bye.